Welcome one, welcome all. Now begins the tale you, my loyal audience, have waited so long for. A tale like no other. Now sit back and behold this fantastic and astounding account of how the great and powerful Trixie, one of the greatest show mages in the history of Equestria, died.
Friendship is here to stay. My little pony, you know we're still the very best friends.
When I wasn't eating or sleeping, I was asking Pinkie Pie for details about her reunification. I read every book I could on dream symbolism. I also was sure to check on Trixie repeatedly. She wasn't any trouble. She did anything she was told without a word. You have no idea how close I was to spanking a certain someone's butt raw when he tested it by asking Trixie to stand on one hoof and giggled as she did so. I won't say who because that person is someone who is not normally mean or sadistic, and therefore I will not ruin his reputation because of one isolated incident. I even risked a trip through the Everfree Forest to see Zecora. We found Zecora's house with most of the drapes pulled and the zebra witch doctor slash shaman slash what have you herself in the middle of her room. Maybe it was better her eyes were closed. I never got over how Zecora's eyes glowed yellow in the dark. Zecora's hide was covered in dry sweat. She sat in a circle of candles in one of her meditative poses. She had her front hooves together and her eyes shut intensely. Zecora?
Greetings, Twilight. Welcome here. Worry not, there's naught to fear.
Zecora, are you okay?
I am not the worse for wear. This is my burden to bear. Madness incarnate had found me, sought to make me wild as all Everfree. He made poison choke roll like crazy. Afterwards, things turned quite hazy. No, forgive me, I will not deny. I just spoke an awful lie. From rumor to reality, he forced the switch. I truly became a wicked witch. Afterwards, for my sanity's resuscitation, I sat to meditate without hesitation. Long and hard to restore control. It took quite a great effort, but now I'm whole.
Zecora, I know we didn't get off to a good start when we first met, but I'm speaking the honest truth. There are doctors in Ponyville that Princess Celestia commanded to treat for damage Discord did to them on the inside. I know you live in the Everfree, but I promise they will help you if we ask them.
Among ponies I'm no longer hated, shunned, or booed, but I must not impose. 'Twould be too rude.
It's not imposing. It's just accepting help that's being offered. But if you insist on it being some kind of kooky square deal, Twilight has some stuff to ask you.
Zecora, I need your help. There's a pony who Discord hurt a lot worse than most. And I have an idea to help her, but I want your advice.
Speak, my friend, spare no detail, so that an answer we may yet unveil.
So, I told her everything. About Trixie, about Discord, the memory spell, Hoofington, and where my idea had come from. Zecora discussed some of the finer points regarding meditation, about how not to trust other minds to function the same way as your own, and other useful advice. I thanked her profusely. Zecora promised to make an appointment with the visiting psychologist. We turned to leave.
Twilight Sparkle, heed these words. If you wish to be the one to help this pony, then you must also accept it'll be part of your responsibility, not just her family's, to help her see in the light once you've led her out of the darkness.
I was astounded. Zecora hadn't rhymed those words. A deadly seriousness radiated from her as her eyes opened just a crack, her blue eyes gleaming yellow in the low light. I steeled my resolve. I will. The last thing I expected when I got home was Aloysius asking Trixie questions during his shift.
Who?
Who are you truly?
Who?
Who is dearest to you?
Who?
Who is it that has made you who you are?
Who?
Who are you to deny the help of others?
Who?
Who is always there for you even when you try to push them away? I didn't know if Aloysius was trying to goad Trixie out of her shell, or whether I still had a long way to go to figuring out what Aloysius even meant when hooting. I looked her in the eyes before beginning to cast the spell. Trixie, I can't cast the memory spell to get you to remember your real self. Whatever's inside of you is blocking me. So I'm simply going to have to try to get past it. I promise I'll never tell anyone what I see. This is the only way I can help you. I hope you can forgive me for that someday. It felt really weird, begging for the forgiveness of a pony who had publicly humiliated 3 of my friends and inspired the Ursa Major incident in Ponyville. But I meant to delve in and restructure the inner workings of this pony's soul. Not all that unlike what Discord had done to her. I felt sick. My mouth ran dry. I began to cast the spell. I wasn't joking with Applejack when I said some components in a spell needed to be timed within 1/10 of a second, or the magic would fall apart. Magic is not static. It is active and alive. Magic follows a very real and very unforgiving set of rules, the same as the rest of the natural world. But that also means that it could go off in its own direction if you didn't properly guide it. I had both Spike and Aloysius on standby in case something went wrong. Like what? I don't know. Something. Anything. I was treading into unknown territory. I had never been that interested in mind magic. I didn't want to turn ponies into puppets. Yes, I knew something could go wrong. Yes, I know it was reckless. Yes, I know I should have known better. But there had always been something about Trixie. I knew I technically owed her nothing. But for once in my life, I was going with my feelings. It felt right to help her. And it would have felt selfish to have gone to the lengths I'd gone to save my friends from Discord and to pan her off to some pony else. Was this egotistical? I don't think so. Pride really didn't enter the equation. So why did I kill her? Wait. What? Kill her? What the fucking hay are you even talking about? What is this? I didn't kill Trixie. There's no way I could have. Celestia's mane, what are you talking about? Wait a minute. What's going on here? Who are you? You are not who my friends and I have been speaking with.
Of course I am, Miss Sparkle. Of course I am.
Said a dark blue earth pony wearing a white coat.
You've been with us for some time. You've suffered a mental breakdown from trying to help all your friends at once. You were unhappy that Applejack was doing a better job helping others than you. You fled to Hoofington, tracked down Miss Trixie, assaulted her in the middle of the night, and overpowered her. Your spell forced her to relive every moment of her life at once, causing a brain hemorrhage that killed her instantly. Then you took her corpse back to Ponyville, played nursemaid to it for a few days, until your friends found you and deposited you here.
I was in a white room with a bolted door wearing a straitjacket. There was a larger light blue earth pony by the door. An orderly of some sort, perhaps?
No need to worry about murder charges. You were clearly insane during the incident. You have created some rather absurd fantasies. An extended family for Trixie, for starters. Rainbow Dash slipping into momentary madness in front of you. Rarity and Applejack? Clearly a shadow projection on your part. But still, I find it interesting. Why, of all people, help someone like Trixie? Why bother? What was there to gain? What was there to be had? Clearly there were others that you could have easily superimposed your savior complex on, so why have your fantasy center around such an inconsequential pony you had met just once in your life?
My mouth hung agape. The doctor on the other end just kept smiling at me patronizingly. I felt pressure at the back of my brain, pressing against my eyes like a dam. Everything I had just been told, everything I was seeing, I felt it. I heard it. I smelled it. I felt my spine turn to ice. If my stomach wasn't empty, I was sure I'd be vomiting. Finally, I managed to whisper out, "Everyone is special. Everyone has worth."
Oh, please, dear. That's just a nice way of saying no one is special and no one has worth.
That's not a very doctorly thing to say.
This is my job. It's what I'm paid to do. It's not like I'm doing it because I care. It's simply my job to help you realize your insanity, accept it, and let go of these delusions of saving Trixie.
I glanced at his flanks, seeing a black and white cross. That's funny, because I don't see a paycheck tattooed on your butt.
My. Such language. That is not like you at all, Twilight Sparkle. Or maybe this is the real you. A crude thug, compelled to flaunt and show off while maintaining a pretense of modesty.
You know, you're right! I am a big, arrogant nag who thinks she can solve everything with a spell and a big, big plan. If I can't get Celestia's approval, I lose my reason for being, so I go completely crazy trying to impress her. And I'm pretty sure I have emotional issues with projecting the love I have for my mom onto the princess. That just about cover it?
Yes, that does. Well, this is a breakthrough. Now, how about you just admit you were trying to save Trixie just to fuel your own vanity? It didn't matter if it was Trixie you were trying to save. It could have been any pony, as long as it made you look good. But it made you look better to help a pony who detested you.
I never meant to hurt Trixie. I saved her life from the Ursa Minor. I had nothing to do with her home being destroyed. I know that her feelings were hurt, and hurt badly when her tall tale got exposed, and she thought everyone in Ponyville would just laugh at her. I just wish she had stayed to find out that, well, most ponies in Ponyville are forgiving. We didn't even form a Paraspray extermination squad after they devoured half the town. And Snips and Snails started the mess. She just lit the fire. It's pretty clear she never intended what happened to happen. I know she was likely just trying to save face, but she still had the courage to face what she thought was an Ursa Major. And for that brief moment, when she dropped her great and powerful act, there was just a mare who just wanted some attention.
What are you blathering all that nonsense about? Trixie is dead, and it's not like you actually mean any of it. And again, seeing as none of your 3 friends will ever come to visit you, I guess you need someone to talk to.
My 3 friends?
Yes. It's so sad. They bring you here and then they abandon you. But that's the truth about friends, I suppose. They only stay friends as long as you're useful to them.
That's not true. Snips and Snails put on a magic act for the school talent show. They based their costumes on her. Even after they found out Trixie's story was a lie, they still loved her show. She inspired them, likely the first thing in those 2 Dumbos' lives that made them want to apply themselves. The doctor took a step back. He looked like he was the one scared and confused.
You're lying. You have to be.
So you said none of my friends visited? At all?
Yes, none did. They left you all alone.
Are any of my friends dead or hospitalized or away on business?
No. They simply see no reason to see you when you're now just a madman.
And I had no visitors at all. Not even Princess Celestia?
Why would she visit you?
Because I'm her apprentice and envoy. Duh.
Well, obviously not anymore. Clearly, a madmare is no fit student for a goddess. She has moved on to someone else now, clearly.
You just blew it.
Blew what, my dear?
You'd said 3 friends. I just remembered. Trixie's never met Fluttershy or Pinkie Pie personally. She also wouldn't know I'm Celestia's student. She only knows things about us we've spoken about in front of her. Like AJ's Good Deeds Marathon. Also, I think the only inside of a mental ward Trixie's ever seen was from plays and movies. I've been visiting one repeated for some spellcasting on traumatized Pegasi. And if I were a delusional killer, why didn't you put a seal on my horn? That part often gets left out in shows for drama's sake, but it's not how it actually works. And you, Doctor, aren't even taking notes or have a recorder with you. I telekinetically undid the straitjacket straps and threw it off. Leave me alone, said the doctor, sadly and a little scared. It was in Trixie's voice. I'm sorry, Trixie. I can't. I saved my friends from Discord's taint, and I'll save you. The doctor fell over like an abandoned puppet. The big blue earth pony at the door leapt at me.
Get out!
I recognized that voice. It was the same one that had thrown me out of Trixie's mind every time. I did some telekinetic judo and threw him over my shoulder. His coat darkened to black, his form became lithe, and his mane silver. Where there had been no cutie mark before, was now a white chess queen. Morgan.
You should have followed the script and descended into insanity. Trixie doesn't need to go outside. Ever! All people do is ignore her, or humiliate her, or pretend to placate her. You won't take her back to that awful outside. I'll always protect her.
I'm happy Trixie knows her mother loves her enough for her defenses to manifest as you.
Be gone!
I felt a wind against me. No, the gale force of a tornado. But I managed to hold on even as the room was torn apart. But I wasn't going anywhere, not this time. I rammed at the image of Morgan, who avoided touching me like I was a plague, and forced my way through the wall in front of me. Then everything shattered. I was in the middle of Hoofington. The sky was cloudy black. The buildings all had several more floors than they should have had in real life. I knew that the part of Trixie blocking me would try to prevent me from delving deeper. But I never thought I would resort to a trick like that. I just hoped that Spike didn't panic and try to force the connection between our 2 horns apart. That could cause some real damage to the both of us. Not to mention, I doubt I'd even get this far ever again, now that Trixie's mind knew this trick. Okay, Twilight, focus. You have to find Trixie in here. Not just her memories, fears, or figments. You have to find her. And instantly, the town was full of Trixies. Screw my nightmares, this was just plain worse. I looked this way and that, each one was brightly colored. Trixies of all ages, from childish to elderly. Trixies in unmistakably male roles, one bearing a bowler's mustache. They chatted about mindless things, the weather, the geopolitical situations with the dragons and griffins, and of course they were all calling each other Trixie. Was this a trick? A defense? No, this was something else. I looked at myself. I was Trixie! But who else would I be? It wasn't like I could be anyone else. So why had I gasped? Everyone was Trixie, so of course I was Trixie too. Everyone was the same. Trixie was generic. Trixie was the same. Trixie was replaceable. Trixie was who I was here to save! I screamed at the top of my lungs. Ah! My correct coloration and mane style returned. I shook my head. That was too close. The town was suddenly all shades of gray and covered in fog.
You should have just let me absorb you.
I'm not giving up on her. The spotlight shone down from the heavens. I turned my head. There was a filly on the street, too young even for her cutie mark. She had faded, grayed-out colors that might have been silver and blue. She was whimpering to herself, crying. No no one was even paying one iota of concern for her. I took a few trots towards the crying filly.
Stay away from her!
No. I trotted towards the little filly. The moment I was in speaking range, a piece of the dark clouds twisted down like a lawn snake, landing right next to Trixie and coiled into a black unicorn mare. She knelt beside the filly, putting her front hooves around her and cooed in her ear.
There, Trixie. Just sit there and feel sorry for yourself. It's okay that you're not worth anything. It's okay that you have no value. It's okay that in your entire life you've left no mark on anything. And just sit right there and cry. Let others feel sorry for you that way. It's okay to be worthless when others feel sorry for you, right? When you're worthless, when you're below average, when you're not worth a thing, at least then you're not generic. No one pays attention to anything average, only to the really good or the really bad, dear. You failed to be great, so just be awful, and everyone will pay attention to you. If only for a little while.
Trixie! Self-pity never helps anyone, least of all yourself. People only look at you until they realize you're a lost cause and leave you right back where you started, alone. Trixie, please, you have to try.
There, baby, don't listen to the nasty old mare. Just listen to Mommy.
Trixie, that thing is not your mother. Your mother never tried to keep you her prisoner, and she certainly never encouraged you to give up.
Why do you care? Trixie's just the bad guy in your story anyway.
I want her to go back to her real self, not this hollowed-out shell you're helping her hide in. Trixie, let me help you. And what makes you think I want help? Least of all from you. She had finally spoken to me. Was that a good or bad thing? Is it so awful that someone wants to take their time to help you? No! You're not here for me! You do the same for any pony. It wouldn't matter if it was me or not. I'm nothing special. Every pony is special, Trixie. That's just a nice way of saying no one is! A giant black tower with the star motif tore its way up through the earth, taking Trixie and Morgan with them. The cracks in the earth grew to canyon size, swallowing up the other Trixies who screamed in terror as they fell into the darkness, taking me and the town with them. I fell, spinning like a coin, all the while telling myself to stay calm, stay in control. Trixie may rule this world, but she was divided, and I still ruled over myself. One thing I knew for sure, I wasn't playing along with Morgan. Discord taught me the danger of participating in games where the enemy set the rules. Not that it mattered if I'm falling, and falling, and falling. Geez, how about I hit the bottom or it splat? Except not splat. I hit with a grunt, knocking the wind out of me, but every bone didn't shatter into splinters on impact like it should have. I looked around. I was surrounded by giant stone blocks, haphazardly stacked about. All of them bore big, bold letters of the Equestrian alphabet on them. The ravine I'd landed in was pitch black, with a black sky and sheer stone cliffs towering in all directions. But here I was, physically intact and able to see in total darkness. I looked about for a way to climb up when I spotted something. It was a giant vault door. Engraved across the top were giant words that read, "By order of the great and powerful Trixie, this vault is to never be opened." My curiosity got the better of my common sense, and I got closer. Okay, fair chance there was a monster inside the vault, imitating the voice of a little girl. A monster who'd eat me the moment I freed him, and then eat Trixie, leaving her psychotic or brain dead. Certainly fit with Trixie's sense of drama. On the other hoof. Hello?
Hello, who are you?
I'm Twilight Sparkle.
Never heard of you. Are you a new friend of Trixie?
I want to be.
Oh, that's so cool. That means she's still popular and has lots and lots of friends, right? I know she does. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Tell her I said hi.
Who are you?
No one important. No one needed.
Horse apples!
Eek! That's a bad word. You need to wash your mouth out by royal command.
Royal command? Who are you?
I can't really remember. Because Trixie can't really remember.
'Cause you're inside there?
Yes.
You're not going to switch places with me in there or something, are you?
Why would I?
Because that's typical of these situations.
Since when is Trixie typical? She's the most special pony in all the world.
That was all I needed to hear. That's it. I'm letting you out of there.
Huh? Wait!
I wasn't listening. I magically turned the cartoonish bell candle and pulled, surprised to find it had been forgotten to be locked. A bright pink unicorn filly with a long blonde mane and tail with curls, and bright blue eyes, and a conical princess hat with unused veil, and a white and blue dress with hearts and stars all over it, and glass slippers, and the details flowed over like a waterfall with no proper pacing or placement, spilling over all at once. Did I mention she hug-tackled me? No? She did.
Hi! Thanks for freeing me. Now that I'm out of there, I remember who I am. And now I know what Trixie knows, and she needs help. Can you help me save her?
I looked at the filly. There was a little purple reflective star on her cheek. I glanced at her cutie mark. A heart within a star within a heart within a star, surrounded by bright red ribbons and tiny 5-pointed stars. Who are you? She leapt off me and assumed a regal pose. Or what a 5-year-old would think is one.
I'm Trixie's best friend in the whole world. I'm Princess Loving Bright Shining Star Sparkling Dawnflower the 88th. I'm the ruler of the Kingdom of Hiffingtonia, the happiest kingdom in Equestria. Trixie and I do everything together. I even take her dragon riding.
It dawned on me at last. You're an imaginary friend.
Yep. Me and Trixie also once saved Hiffington from an Ursa Major. I promoted Trixie to co-princess on the spot for her bravery.
So, how long have you been in there?
I think it's been a little after a quinceanera, I think. But I don't mind. I still have all my treasures from my adventures with Trixie.
I see.
Trixie said with all the crowds now loving her, she didn't need me anymore to play with.
Why didn't Trixie ever try to make other friends?
She didn't know how, and her sisters and brothers were always getting on her nerves, and she'd get angry every time she was asked if she and her sisters were clones, or if they were golems all made with blue clay.
I see.
She even gave me this great gift to show how much she loved being my friend.
Princess Loving Bright Shiny Star Sparkling Dawnflower the 88th produced a small blue star-shaped gem from nowhere. What struck me, however, was the crown in which it was set. It wasn't exactly the same, more like a circlet, but there was no denying it. Impossible! The element of magic?
Huh?
That's the element of magic!
Is that what it's called? Trixie could never come up with a name for it.
I looked at the jewel set in the tiara. It was tarnished, rough, unpolished, nearly uncut. But what I sensed from it was flawlessly familiar. Even if it was little more than a flicker of a cinder in a burned-out fireplace, this was the same power as mine. A lot of things suddenly made sense. Princess Starflower! You're right! Trixie is special! More special than she could possibly imagine! As a servant of royalty, and as someone who wishes to be a friend of Trixie's, I request that you allow me to return her gift to her.
It's mine!
Princess, do you love Trixie?
She's my bestest best friend in the whole wide world and in the whole universe.
Well, I need the help of that little treasure to help her. I promise it'll save her from the evil queen who's holding her captive and has her under an evil spell. It'll break the spell and set her free.
Really?
Yes, really.
Then Trixie can have real friends?
I didn't know how to escape this question, so I bore with it and answered. Yes.
Yippee!
Huh? You're okay with this?
We imaginary friends have a sacred code. We exist to help those who don't have real friends to turn to. I was wondering why I could never fall asleep. That meant Trixie still needed me, but she never came back for me. I'll give this to you if you promise that you'll help Trixie make lots of real friends.
You You have my word, Your Highness. She placed the crown atop my head.
I hereby royally decree you royal messenger and agent of the kingdom of Huffingtonia. You are to bring my gift to Co-Princess Trixie at once. Hey, if you want to be Trixie's friend, that means we can be friends too, right, Twilight Sparkle?
I guess so, yes. Strangely, she looked up in surprise.
Huh? How did that happen?
I blinked and saw the crown in her hooves. Wait. I touched my head. The crown was now there too. 2 crowns? The same one in 2 places at once?
What happened?
Didn't anyone ever tell you? Friendship is magic.
I think I understand. Come on, let's...
Savage growl echoed through the canyon, causing a few giant stone building blocks to fall over. Huge iron bars appeared around Princess Loving Bright, Shiny Star Sparkling Dawnflower, twisting together above her into a sealed cage. I banged and magically rammed stones into the bars, but nothing worked. Princess Loving Bright, Shiny Star Sparkling Dawnflower magically summoned a sword twice as long as she was and struck against the bars, only for the sword to shatter. She looked at me pleadingly.
Please, I'm just a figment. Save my best friend.
I mutely nodded, and called upon all my inner strength and cast the Gossamer Wing spell. Magic wasn't as draining as it was before. Maybe because this was all happening in Trixie's head. I felt courage.
Do what I can't, my servant. Save Co-Princess Trixie.
I promise. I flew up out of the gorge of childhood memories and up the black tower right to the top. Parts of it broke off and fell right in my path, which I had to dodge, and parts of it grew into griffin claws and tried to grab me, but I was more nimble. I was at the flat top of the tower in no time. I found Trixie there, and the thing that guarded her.
What does it take to have you forgotten?
More power than you have here, loneliness.
Loneliness?
You are not Morgan. I may have spent just one afternoon with her, but that's still more than enough to know that you are nothing like Trixie's real mother. The polar opposite of friendship is loneliness, which is what you've been trying to keep Trixie in this whole time. Trapped in this foggy gray world, you aren't going to stop me from having a heart-to-heart talk with her any longer.
Trixie loves it here. No expectations to fall short of, nothing to lose. Just the comfort of being the tragic character in an endless tale. Isn't that right, my little baby?
Loneliness turned back to look at the filly at the center of the flat tower's top. Suddenly it was defeated, and there, standing on her back hooves, was the filly Trixie. She was chained by thick, heavy shackles on all 4 hooves. She was also dressed as a court jester and held a fool's scepter. She sniffled. A rotten tomato hit her. Instantly, she was surrounded by Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, and a copy of me, and several other of Ponyville's inhabitants who had attended her show. Her sisters were also there, and 2 colts I bet were her brothers, along with an elderly white and gray pony, another copy of Morgan, and her father. And they laughed and jeered at her, and threw more rotten fruit at her.
Come on. Make this 20% more funny.
The fake Rainbow Dash laughed.
Such sniveling, such crying. How disgraceful, how revolting. Don't you dare cry. You're making yourself uglier. Stand perfectly still,
said the fake Rarity Belle, hurling a putrid cucumber.
Come on, you varmint. You think anyone's gonna like you more just because you're a sad loser? Big crybaby. Big crybaby.
Play with us, Trixie. Forever.
Do what I say already.
Did you say something? I'm busy.
You should be like Mixie. You should be like Mixie. You should be a perfect copy of Mixie.
Anything you can do, I can do better. The fake me jeered. Great and powerful Trixie. Great and powerful Trixie. Great and powerful Trixie. Great
How can you say you're protecting her? The deeper she ventures into darkness, the further she leaves behind the light. The light does nothing but illuminate a world where she is the same as everyone else. Here, self-pity is its own comfort. Much more preferable to the lies of friendship or the love of the crowd that vanishes the moment the curtain shuts. Why would anyone wish to be free of the fog that exists between the self and reality?
Great and powerful.
So you'll just have her broken down more and more until she regresses to nothing?
I shall be there for her, always, right beside her.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Don't worry, you won't.
Except... my muscles tightened. That... I jumped right towards the cowering filly. The fake Applejack tried to lasso me, but I kicked her in the face and the lasso dissolved. Isn't! I landed near her, the tomatoes hitting me now as well. True! Standing on that stage was a jarring experience. As a rotten apple from fake Applejack hit me, my misfired spell that had failed to stop the parasite infestation came back to mind. When a rotten cabbage hit me in the back of the head, I remembered turning my parents into potted plants. Trixie, I don't think those things of you. My friends don't think those things of you. It's not who they are. Billy dared to look at me, staring at the crown I was wearing.
That's where have I?
This is a gift from a friend of yours, and this is a gift from me. I touched her forehead and cast the memory spell. New images flashed. Filly performing for her 3 younger siblings, a blue stallion giving the same blue filly a ride, a black mare viciously defending her from a pure-blood bigot, her big brother letting her play as one of the adventurers rather than the princess who needed to be saved, her master saying how beautiful her illusions were, a song Pixie had written just for Trixie's quinceañera. The tower exploded. The shockwave went on for miles in all directions. Loneliness and her fakes were either vaporized or sent into orbit in the process. Then everything turned white. As the white light slowly faded, my vision returned. For being at the center of the equivalent of an atomic blast, I didn't feel that bad. The sky was an odd mix of black and blue. Blue sky with clouds that looked more like stretched-out ink stains lazily marching across the sky. Clouds moving on their own chillingly reminded me of Everfree. The landscape was faded. Nothing but dirt to see in every direction, on an almost completely flat landscape. I say almost because I stood in the middle of a surprisingly smooth, bowl-shaped blast crater. Giant stone statues of ponies just barely stick out of the dirt around me. They looked a bit familiar. Dead black trees shaped like griffin claws caught in an inferno reached up towards a sunless, moonless sky. Right in front of me was Trixie's element of magic. I didn't fail to notice the tiny pink and yellow flowers that bloomed in an inch-long radius around the tarnished, uncut blue gem. It added a strange contrast to this place. I turned around. There was Trixie, still without her stage costume, now restored to her rightful age in the real world. Her colors were her own. Violet eyes blinked open as she stood up, getting her bearings and trying to get back her dignity and poise. Twilight sparkle. Trixie, what do you remember? I remember a giant version of my cutie mark promising to give me back my life. Instead, it took the broken pieces and ground them into powder. And after that, distant feelings, distant voices, distant images, fog everywhere, a comfortable coldness. The world being so much more simpler if Trixie has been reduced to a dog! A pet! My life is worse than ruined! They just wanted to laugh me off stage before! Now they'll laugh at me when I go to buy groceries! You still have your family. What about them? They still love you. They've been sick with worry over you. Don't you remember? They were looking after you that whole time. What is this barren, empty place? It's so wretched, lifeless. There's no kind way to put this. It's your heart, Trixie. What? You're lying! That's not possible! This can't be me! See those mostly buried statues over there? Those are your feelings for your family you've been trying so hard to bury, but you've not been quite able to. Why shouldn't I? All they've ever done is try to make Trixie into some identical, interchangeable clone! Trixie is herself and no one else. everything that connects me to them makes me less me. Why didn't you ever dye your coat or mane then? Or even change your name to something more unique from theirs? Listen to me, Trixie. Please. Can't you see? You still love them. And they love you. They always have. You're part of a whole, not a spare. Each of them offers something unique to each other. Just like you. Just think about your own memories. No, I just wanted to be special, to be noticed, to be unique. I just wanted to be me instead of one of us. I want to be famous. I want to be remembered. Not just a name, birth, and death date in a record book. I want to be seen. I just want to be seen. Stand on my own. No one stands on their own, Trixie. Why else would you be so fixated on what the audience thinks of you? Because when I hear them cheer for me, not for a group I'm a part of, not for a show I aided in the production of, but for me, I know they notice I exist. They know I'm alive. I know that I'm alive.
Yes, dear.
Her mother's pony head snaked out of the ground. Her head was connected to a very long body with scales like a dragon and the tail of a fish. She had one wing that was that of a parasprite and another that belonged to a dragon. One hind leg was that of a deer and the other a coyote's. The arm of a monkey and the paw of a tiger served as forelegs. She had a pair of stubby horns that went off in opposing odd directions. Her colors remained mostly blacks and silvers. Like a boa constrictor, she twisted around Trixie but without touching her directly.
Can you hear them now? The crowd is waiting for you. Can't you hear your audience? They want the great and powerful Trixie, the pony who knows no doubt or fear or hesitation or regret. She only thrills them with her fantastic tales and silences the naysayers as swiftly as they appear. She doesn't need anyone. She only needs herself. She is unto herself and only herself. You can hear them, can't you, Trixie?
An audience of lifeless, soulless cardboard cutouts of ponies rose out of the dirt, followed by a cheap tape recording of enthusiastic cheers. Trixie was like a sailor entranced by a siren's song. I'd cast the memory spell already. What was it going to take to make this monster die? Did it die? Or had it metastasized? Had I really been too late after all? Maybe I had been an idiot after all. Maybe Spike had been right. Maybe Trixie really was beyond saving, and any goodness left in her was really just scar tissue. Maybe she was selfish to her core after all. Maybe she really couldn't love anyone but herself. Maybe she really was just a bad pony who was bad news to everyone around. Life story. Trixie? Is this the kind of love you really want? The kind that winks out the moment the stage lights do? Trixie gave a jolt. A hopeless cause? Whatever. I had a promise to keep. Trixie, I have a gift for you. It's from a friend who asked me to give it to you, to make sure you made lots of friends. I floated her element of magic from behind my legs and presented it to her. What is that? It's your element of harmony, Trixie. Magic. The same as mine. You gave it to Princess Starflower as a gift, remember? She might have been imaginary, but the time you spent with her still made you happy. She was still your friend, and she's proved herself a friend by wanting you to be happy by making real friends. Not imaginary, and not theater-goers who only know the great and powerful Trixie. I don't want some power that's the same as yours. I don't want to be a backup. I don't want to be an extra. I don't want to be Trixie who also happened to have something. Trixie, every element, even the same element is different between ponies. Take my word for it. The elements of harmony looked completely different back when Celestia used them to when me and my friends used them. And yours does not look the same as mine. No one is exactly the same, Trixie. Stop saying my name like we're friends. I want us to be friends. I shouted so loud, it echoed across the wasteland of Trixie's heart. Trixie was struck dumb. They're called the elements of harmony. They're supposed to function together, not stand alone. Friendship is magic, Trixie. Do you understand what that means? Trixie, you've been making yourself and your magic weaker by not connecting with others. The power to be better than you are, Trixie. The power to be more than you are. That's only found when you join with others.
Stop trying to confuse her!
Loneliness snarled, digging her claws into Trixie, who was unable or too befuddled to move.
I'm the only one she actually needs. I'm the only one she's ever needed. Not family, not friends, only me. She can only be a star with me.
As Trixie began to reach out for her element of magic, the light inside the uncut, rough blue gem seemed to glow a smidgen brighter. Then loneliness broke Trixie's back leg. Trixie fell.
I won't let you ruin everything you've worked for.
Its tail dug into the earth, and an instant later erupted back up from underground in my blind spot. Before I could react, its fishtail transformed into a spear and stabbed me in the back. Never knowing such pain, I still managed to magically make myself fall forward while levitating Trixie's element. We reached for each other. Loneliness's form shifted once more. She became another Trixie clone, wearing the oversized wizard's hat and the purple cape she had lost during the events of the Ursa Minor.
You can't just throw away everything. You need me!
I want to know.
What is there to know? The only way for us to never be invisible is for us to be me. Do you want us to die? Think of all we've put together, all we've made!
Trixie, this is your mind and your heart. This is the one place you're always the star. And as long as you let others inside here, you'll never be invisible. All you have to do is let them in. I faltered. The element fell down. I pushed Trixie's crown as close as I could, touching the very tip of it with my nose. Trixie reached through loneliness, passing through her like a hologram. The tip of her hoof touched the element of magic that belonged to her alone. The same as mine belonged only to me. Then loneliness exploded twice. When I got my wits together, I saw the giant statues of 4 male earth ponies and 5 unicorns. I also saw a statue of me, about the size of one of Sweetie's dolls. Okay, it was a start. Twilight, there's flowers. She was right. Small, tiny yellow and pink flowers, also silver and black, blue and dark blue, and several different patterns, silver and light blue, all blossoming at once throughout the wasteland. And one small, easy-to-miss purple and violet flower with a magenta streak popped out of the soil by Twilight's hooves. So, Trixie, all the times you acted like queen of everything, it wasn't who you really were at heart? No, that was all me. It was always me. When I humiliated your friends and lied about defeating an Ursa Major, those fantasies I had of hurting you, that was all me. Not some possession or spell. It was me. Period. It's really weird. What is? I feel like I've died and become a different pony. Are you familiar with tarot cards, Trixie? The 13th card, Death? Its original name was Change. Change symbolizes new beginnings, not just endings. A bright light came into being above us, like a star shining close to Earth. It was followed by a step of transparent crystalline steps that just floated in midair. What is that? That's your freedom, Trixie. It's waiting for you. Everyone's waiting for the great and powerful Trixie to come home. They're going to have to wait forever now. There is no great and powerful Trixie here. There's just the one and only Trixie. Trixie got up, then fell down, her back leg still broken in this world. I don't think I can make it up on my own. feeling a lot better for having been run through with a spear, I trotted over to her and let her put her weight on me. It's okay. You don't have to. Twilight? Yes? Thank you. We climbed into the light together. And that is the tale of the death of the great and powerful Trixie.
Ooh!
You could be a little more enthusiastic as you transcribe this, you know. He is Trixie. Aloysius just has his own way of showing it. What he said translates as, an amazing tale fit for the ages. Are you pulling my hind leg? That's Pinkie Pie's department, not mine. Speaking of which, I really need to introduce you to the others. Are you so sure about that? No, but that's what makes it interesting. Besides, you're technically meeting Rarity, AJ, and Rainbow Dash for the first time, too. You're not the only one who's changed for the better, new Trixie. Don't ever call me that again. Okay, pal. Dear Princess Celestia, I'm happy to report my patient has made 120% recovery. I am fully aware that is scientifically impossible, but I'm currently unable to express it in any other terms. Doctor-patient confidentiality prevents me from explaining much, and for that I am truly sorry. I've learned that just because someone has the same talent as yours, doesn't mean those talents are expressed the same. And above everything, I've begun to suspect that the truest expression of friendship is to make friends of your enemies, and maybe ponies can change for the better. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle.
And for the sake of keeping hard-working earth ponies as a lower labour class and feather dusters as their enforcer class, narwhals in key positions throughout Equestria ensure that over 60% of all household and common and commercial items require telekinesis to function properly. Like toothbrushes. These items are also designed to be compatible with griffin claws to help facilitate their underground alliance with the savage, bloodthirsty meat-eaters. This helps keep earth ponies ignorant and distracted from the unicorn's secret program of breeding and rearing dragons who are only loyal to Princess Celestia and her generals. Their ultimate goal is to strip all successful earth ponies like ourselves of our hard-earned wealth under the pretense of dragon raids and shuffle them back to the princess's own coffers. At the same time, mares of all three breeds under the auspices of Princess Celestia have, for over 1,000 years, ensured that stallions remain secondary citizens. Feather Duster and Earth Pony mares foolishly believe they will eventually be granted narwhal-level privileges for their complicity in this conspiracy. Miss Diamond Tiara, are you even paying attention? Your father is paying me a good sum of money to make sure you learn the real truth of Equestria, that they will not teach in government-funded schools.
Yeah, yes sir, I am. She had heard this lesson 100 times before, often with other contradictory theories added in as well. She and Silver Spoon used to share the same lessons together. She hadn't even looked at her former best friend in weeks now. And Diamond Tiara was finding herself experiencing a feeling she found quite alien, even confusing. After going through the painful task of, reading up on the subject, she concluded she was lonely. She looked at the clock and she saw she needed to be somewhere else. Hey, isn't that a narwhal spy dragon out the window?
Where?
Exclaimed her tutor, a dirty brown earth pony with a gallop box mask as a key mark, rushed into the window. Diamond calmly went to her own room and took out the sewing supplies she had hidden under her bed and left the estate, with one of the unicorn maids running interference. She made it about halfway when the voice of the brown pony with the pointing everywhere arrows from her dreams spoke up again. She managed to ignore them all the way to Miss Rarity's shop.
Rarity worked her sewing machine with a greater sense of relief today. While Silver Spoon was still not talking to the Cutie Mark Crusaders, she was no longer verbally lashing out at them for trying to be nice to her. Rarity had been tempted to suggest they could earn friendship Cutie Marks this way, but knew the over-ego fillies would then try to jump at the end result and ruin any chance of actually establishing a legitimate friendship with Silver Spoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Rarity.
Good afternoon, Diamond Tiara. I'll be with you in just a second. Make yourself feel at home. Rarity had to say the spoiled earth pony had come a long way since their secret lessons had started. She only stumbled rather than froze instead of saying the word unicorn instead of narwhal, and she only stabbed herself with the sewing needle about half as often as she used to, and her thread lines were a lot more steady. You know, Diamond Tiara, I think you really should make up with Silver Spoon now. Well, there was a chance for two fillies to end up reinforcing each other's bad behavior again. Rarity couldn't stand the thought of two best friends not even so much as looking at each other.
Why should I?
Well, she's your friend, isn't she?
Not anymore.
So nothing you did with her had any meaning? Just that your parents knew each other and she was the only filly in your tax bracket. The two of you never had any fun that didn't involve picking on blank flanks? Which I always found odd, since you were, besides Sweetie Belle and her friends, the last to get yours in Miss Cheerilee's class.
Diamond thought it over. She had fun with Silver Spoon, right? They had a special hug and everything, right? That made them friends, right? They visited each other and were happy to see each other, even when they showed up unannounced. That had something to do with being friends, right? Mom always said Silver and Diamonds looked pretty together. That was when the voice spoke.
Do it now. It's all you have to do. Do it now.
A pair of scissors gleamed on the table next to Rarity. No.
Why not?
I don't want to.
She's just a narwhal. Why not?
She's nice to me. I feel happy around her.
I see. I should tell your mother then.
Tell her what?
That you don't need her anymore. That you don't love her anymore. You found a nice replacement for her, just like your dad is looking for a replacement for her. That you don't want her to find all her marbles in that mangled contraption she calls a mind. That you don't want her at your birthdays. You want a new mommy. Just keep that embarrassing little secret locked away in that tiny little room forever.
Diamond screamed, as only a little filly could, and grabbed the scissors and stabbed them into Rarity's hindquarters. Rarity nearly impaled her hoof on the sewing machine as she turned around to see the bloody scissors in Diamond's mouth. Blood poured down Rarity's legs.
Diamond? Why?
Rarity asked, not in rage, but in shock, in worry.
Diamond, why?
Asked her mother as Diamond helped hold her down so the white Pegasi could take her away to the place where Father promised she'd get better soon. Diamond wanted to die. She dropped the blade and opened her mouth.
Tell her why and you won't get your wish. Say you're sorry and you don't get your wish.
Her jaw tightened. Why did she feel so ugly?
And now, with this last act of disharmony, betrayal, our contract is complete. Come to me and accept my majesty.
Diamond ran out of the shop like a mad pony, still crying, leaving a trail of bloody hoof prints. Rarity tried to follow, but had to stop to bandage herself. Halfway across town, Pinkie Pie's body began to shake like mad. A doozy of a doozy was coming!